guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's video is actually a Sketchbook Doodles video, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video like a while back, saying that my Sketchbook Doodles videos would return sometime, and I guess that's today. I mentioned that they would be considered like kind of like bonus videos, so I would post them whenever I have footage of working in my sketchbook, for whatever reason, if it's just kind of like a compilation of me working on stuff, or if it's actually just a full spread, I would record and hopefully upload it for you guys to see. And the reason why I'm treating this as a bonus upload is because I'm not comfortable really posting these kinds of sketchbook doodle sessions as the main video anymore. I know a lot of people follow mostly for like the digital stuff or even just more like finished illustrations, so I feel awkward to post these as like the main video. So I will post these whenever I have just a good compilation or a good session of drawing in my sketchbook. So in this case I have two different sessions compiled into one video. Yeah, I do have the first page of the sketchbook recorded, and because I don't really like it, I was gonna scrap the footage, but for some reason I kept hanging on to this footage, so I decided to add it along with this one. So this one I actually planned that I wanted to record, and the reason being is that I was talking to another mutual of mine. She was a person I talked a lot on DeviantArt with, and we just kept in touch on Discord and stuff. So yeah, we were talking about gouache for a little bit, and I kind of wanted to work with gouache a little bit more in my sketchbook. And I remember doing this method once before where I laid down watercolor first as kind of like a base, or almost to prime the paper for gouache. So the reason why I don't like using gouache is that I find it hard to get a good balance of the consistency. Watercolor for me is easier to control the consistency because you basically control washes, or like how much you want to use depending on the water to pigment ratio. And it's the same thing for gouache, except for gouache is more opaque, and it's very much like, I feel like you need more gouache than water when painting, unless you're doing like thin washes. But I'm taking that step out by doing watercolor first, so I know where to put my values and where to put certain colors, as well as like it helps me knock out a lot of the white of the paper, so I don't have any like little dots or anything kind of like peeping through. But also, this paper is extremely smooth. I forgot to mention, I'll probably put little flags and stuff into the video, but I'm using LilyPichu's Stay Comfy sketchbooks. I believe they have like little Temmies on the front. I'm using the pink one today because I'm using that one before I use the blue one. And another heads up, if you don't like really rambly videos, these are not the videos for you. A lot of my sketchbook doodle videos from the past are either real-time and it's a full talking session, like real-time talking session, or it's kind of like sped up footage like this, and I'm just basically updating you guys and kind of explaining a little bit of process. So yeah, if that's not your type of video, then you can just click off. Like, I don't want to hear it in the comments. But yeah, what was I talking about? So yeah, basically using the watercolor as a base helps prime the paper for me, because the sketchbooks that I like to use, especially if they're from artists or just custom sketchbooks that people have for sale, they tend to have this really smooth, almost non-toothy paper, and it really doesn't adhere the paint as nicely. I feel like if you have a good consistency for the gouache, then you can probably get like a good even coat. But because I layer up slowly and I get more comfortable as I use the medium, I'm kind of using more of a watery consistency sometimes, and because of that, it would just kind of like slide around on the page in a really unappealing manner. So me putting on the watercolor in a very rough way helps me, and the paper, I guess, like helps the paper kind of like break up those fibers a little bit and becomes a little bit more toothy. And I don't mind if it kind of like tears at the paper a little bit. So at least like the gouache will have something to adhere to. As you can see, laying down the gouache colors afterwards was a lot easier. Like I could get a smoother application, especially for the skin, since I don't have to worry about layering so much light color to make a certain kind of skin tone. The watercolor kind of acts like a base, so that even if I don't get full coverage with the gouache, majority of the paper is just covered with a color, which is kind of nice. But yeah, so after playing around a little bit in my sketchbook, I really like layering colors in this kind of manner. So if the person who has... how do I explain this? Okay, let me backtrack a bit. My brain is so scattered every time I do these voiceovers. So I'm painting Wonu today, and I'm basically painting him from his ISAC look from like a few years ago or whatever, when they're wearing like the yellow hoodies and stuff, and he has this just pure black hair down, and something he styles it with glasses and stuff just when he's not participating in the relay or any running events. But his hair was really dark. It's on the black or really dark brown side, so I like to lay down a super dark color first and then slowly transition that color to either blue, or you can add purple or red subtly, and then I start adding a lot more brighter colors into it. And then this is when I start to play with adding like a little bit more of like ultramarines. As you can see, I added a little bit of this kind of like weird greeny yellow into his hair and stuff, and it looks kind of nice after I add another section of black back into it, or a darker color. I think that even like me adding that blue helped a lot, but it kind of gives this almost weird, like it's painterly and it kind of makes sense but also doesn't make sense. I just find it fun adding like a lot of different colors into different like parts of the hair, because I feel like hair, when it gets hit by light, you can get a lot of different colors, while clothing is a little bit limited to like the lighting situation or shadows. But yeah, I had a lot of fun painting these for the most part. I'm not sure how well the footage is gonna show this, but I did do a few spreads of Wonu earlier, and I did post these to my Instagram stories, showing you guys that I was actually playing around with gouache quite a bit, because I would like to get more familiar with this kind of medium. Definitely something I need to improve is that I need to get a good consistency, that, or I need a better thinner brush, because I accumulate paint in kind of like the midsection or like the bulk of the brush, and not so much in the tip anymore as I work, and I would have to keep re-wetting the brush, and sometimes I get inconsistent line work. And the way how I paint is very much like I would do all the shading and all the colors and all the lighting and everything before I do line art, because I treat line art as the last step basically. And as you can see, as I'm doing the last step for his hair, it was easier for me to add the dark parts on the right side of his hair, which kind of helps push his hair to be more darker, and you can see more form, I guess, come through. I think with all the purples, blues, and yellows that I put into his hair, it didn't really read as a kind of like a 3D object, but adding the black kind of helps like curve or like bulk out his hair a little bit, and I think he looks really cute. I definitely like this one a lot more than the one that I'm gonna do on the right, but I just think it's because like the size of it was just nice, and I like painting faces, so I think he looks cute. I did add a little bit of purples and blues into the skin. As you can see, I'm adding more of a lilac or kind of a grayish purple color into the hoodie as well. I love the color combination of purple and yellow together, especially if it's like the muted purple with the really bright yellow. I think it looks really nice. I really want to invest into like Posca markers. I love seeing people do like Posca doodles on black paper. It looks so nice. But yeah, so now we're working on the second Wonu, and I believe these two Wonus are actually different times, if that makes sense. So the first one was, I think, more recent, or wait, is it? Maybe they were at the same time? I'm not too sure. Maybe it's just like he decided to put on his glasses after. No, I don't really remember. But yeah, so I'm painting the skin for the most part. I did kind of screw up. I think it's this one. I had the lighting a little bit different compared to how I really wanted it to, I think. I don't really remember what I'm talking about. I basically had the shadow under his neck on the wrong side, so I had to switch it up, and luckily gouache is opaque, so it covered up the pencil lines. But yeah. I think all of this footage is like sped up 8 times fast, so hopefully you guys can tell how fast or how slow I work, I guess, with gouache. I really take my time doing these, but I think it's kind of fun. I think the first few different ones that I did do, I sketched them out first and then I painted them, and then I did sketches around them. But I think it's more fun if I did sketches all over the page and then pick a few to like render with gouache. I think the last few pages I did, I think the first ones I did were more of like blue themed, and then the second spread I did more of like purple, and then the third spread I did one of D8 and Mona, so I kind of like broke those ones up. But like I feel like I like putting them into a certain kind of like color combination, so I'm working more with like yellows and purples, a little bit of blues for these ones, and it's just easier for me to stay focused on putting colors together, because I think a problem with me and using gouache, even like acrylics and oil painting, is that color is hard for me if I'm mixing it. It makes more sense for me when I'm mixing watercolors. What is that noise? When I'm using watercolors, only because watercolors for me, it's like you're adding a little bit by a little bit, but for gouache I feel like you need to figure out what is the bulk of your color and then slowly change it into another color, rather than like watercolor. I feel like it's a lot easier to change one color to another because of the transparency and the water and the consistency and stuff. Also, just layering is much easier. I think I mentioned this before too, is that like gouache, acrylics, and oil, for the most part, people work from dark to light because you can layer it upwards that way, because the medium is opaque. While working with watercolor, you're kind of working the other way. So because the watercolor is transparent, you're working from light to dark, so you're trying to preserve the white of the paper as your highlights, and then you're kind of pushing every value forward or back, I guess, to make your piece a little bit more balanced. But I'm definitely struggling a little bit by adding lighter colors on top of darker colors, and I'm quite impatient, so sometimes I don't let things fully dry, so I'm constantly reactivating paint. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with using gouache and a little bit less frustrated. I think because I'm using watercolor as my base, I am fine with that being kind of like the ugly phase of painting, and then slowly building up the values and stuff, and knowing that until I do the line art, it's gonna look derpy for the most part. But I had a lot of fun. Even for like white areas, I feel like I should have applied what I know about digital drawing and added a little bit more of like warmer tones in there too. I kind of stuck with a kind of like a bluish gray color, and I could have definitely pushed more browns or reds into it and kind of shifted the hue a little bit. His hair looks really fluorescent, like a fluorescent blue, and I'm not too sure if it's just because of the lighting of my camera and stuff, because I don't think his hair is actually that blue. Let me check. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I kind of tone it down a little bit with a little bit of green and yellow a little bit later, but yeah, my eyes just gravitate towards the one on the left more. I think it's just because the way how I've rendered his hair is very, very round, very shiny, very kind of like cute, and I love the color shifts in his hair a little bit more than the one I did here. And then yeah, I feel like you guys should let me know if you would like me to do more of these kinds of gouache sessions or watercolor sessions in the sketchbook, as well as anything you want to see me work with in the sketchbook. So I haven't done a Crayola marker sketch page in a while in the sketchbook. Like I did one last night, but like I haven't done one for a sketchbook doodles video in like a super long time. I feel like I've been gravitating towards using watercolors and then using a felt tip pen or a ballpoint pen or something, like some kind of pen, so that I can use that to do the line work and stuff. Or sometimes I just use normal pencil and graphite and stuff. Different sketchbooks, you can use it for different mediums and stuff. I think this, I really like using it by using watercolor first, establishing all of the kind of the values, and then kind of taking out all the white of the paper first. But then this paper is like really smooth, but also doesn't accept pencil in the same way as my previous sketchbooks, so it's harder for me to get like super dark areas. So I think I'm gonna focus mostly on color for this sketchbook maybe. I just find gouache a lot more fun now. I don't know if it is because of the method, or maybe I'm growing and learning that I should stop being stubborn and just learn how to use the medium instead of fighting with it. But yeah, okay, so now I'm adding a little bonbongi at the bottom, just because I didn't keep the references, so I didn't remember what was on his little name tag penny thing, other than it says, oh, it probably says Wonu. Why didn't I? Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm dumb. Okay, I had 17 on the top of the green part, because I'm pretty sure it says 17 up there, but I don't know why in my brain it didn't click that it just should say Wonu on his name tag, because it should have his name. But yeah, this is the finished little spread of little Wonu doodles, and then near towards the center I have painted 2 more doodles. So I did start off with the palette color ENO, and then I'll put all the materials and stuff as they show up in the video, so you guys know where things are and stuff. And then the second half of the video will just be me working on the first page of the sketchbook. And the reason why I actually didn't upload this like as early as I could, because I think I started the sketchbook in January. Let me check. February. I started in February. The reason why I didn't like upload this was actually because I'm not too fond of this one. I think it looks cute, but for me it's too simple as the cover, but also the pen that I use smudged like a heck of a lot, so it made it difficult for me to actually work with it. I should have used a different pen. I don't know why I automatically assumed that this pen wouldn't smudge in the sketchbook. I should have done a test page like I usually do, but I didn't. So yeah, I'm using watercolors today, and I have a really simple sketch of Masaki done with just normal graphite, like just a normal mechanical pencil. I'm just painting in his skin first. We're gonna build up the values, and work on the hair, and then the rest of the clothing, and then yeah, kind of make everything pop by adding a dark black outline to everything. I think it looks cute, but there's just a lot of things wrong after when I start doing the line art for this. So if you guys are unfamiliar with who Masaki is my OC. He's a 21-year-old florist, and yeah, I like drawing him a lot. I decided to draw him more in his like in more of a winter or fall attire kind of clothing, if that makes sense. Like the color scheme wise, it's definitely more akin to fall or winter, just because Masaki's color scheme usually is like teal or like a turquoise and a brown, which is a lot brighter. And I just feel like for winter sometimes you just need to tone down and put more muted colors or like earthy tones, which really, like, I think they look nice on Masaki. I don't know if it's because he also has this brown hair, so it looks really nice, but the combination of kind of like the dark, warmer browns with a warm dark green looks really nice. I also have a little hollow Masaki sticker on the left side that I was test cutting, and that's kind of the piece that I decided to explore more with Masaki's wardrobe, I guess, especially with like color comps for him, because I really like his color combination, like his usual teal and brown, but I wasn't too sure if I should expand and change it a little bit. I didn't really think about this concept thoroughly. I did have like a bunch of flowers kind of like tucked into his coat, but it kind of looks unnatural and a little bit weird. but that's okay. I decided to put like a lot of pink petals around, and I decided because carrot instincts, I guess, I decided to put pink and blue together just because I think they look really cute. I'm just darkening up a little bit of the shadows, and then I think we're going to be preparing for the ink. So I'm not too sure if you guys can see it, or I'm actually adding a little bit more dark parts to him, but on the bottom left of his jacket you can see like these little speckled dots everywhere, and that's kind of like I think it's like the paper pilling up a little bit, like very little, like very little. It's not like a subtle texture that if you touch it, it feels like you can rub it off. For some reason it creates these little dots and stuff on the paper when you add water to it, so I'm not too sure why it does that, but if you use gouache, it definitely covers it. So it's not like really a physical texture that you can feel, but it's just like visually there's these weird speckles. But yeah, so even though this pen did not dry immediately, or even like within the first 3 days of me having the sketchbook and after applying this ink, I was still very cautious about keeping my hand to the right side and doing everything on the left side first so that I could make sure my hand doesn't dip into the ink. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this session, or I guess 2 sessions, and I hope the audio isn't too shoddy. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed watching, and hopefully I can make another session soon, maybe a Crayola marker doodle sketch page composition or something. Otherwise I will do another gouache session, which I am totally happy and okay doing. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, thanks for keeping me company, and hopefully you guys are excited for the return of the Sketchbook Doodle series like I promised like a long time ago, like 6 months ago. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time with another video. Bye!